The sky above Earth was filled with worry. The stars, once peaceful and distant, now held danger. An alien fleet had been seen moving toward human space. They were fast, powerful, and unknown. No one knew what they wanted, but their weapons had already destroyed 3 colonies. On Earth, leaders met in secret. The United Nations Space Command, UNSC, had called every officer and scientist it could find. They needed answers, and they needed them fast. In a small room inside the UNSC headquarters, in Colorado, Commander Daniel Hayes sat at a table. He was not a famous man. He had served for 15 years, done his job quietly, and never asked for medals. He had gray eyes that missed nothing, and a voice that made people listen without needing to shout. He stared at the screen in front of him. It showed the alien fleet, hundreds of ships dark and jagged like broken glass. They moved with purpose. Earth had sent scouts, drones, even spies. All had failed. The enemy did not speak. They only attacked. "We have no choice," said Admiral Lin, the head of UNSC. Her voice was tired but firm. "We launched the Vanguard." A silence followed. Some officers looked at each other. Others stared at the floor. Daniel finally spoke. "Sir, the Vanguard isn't ready. It's all we have left." The Vanguard was not like other ships. It was built for stealth and speed, not war. It had been tested in deep space, far from any battle. Its systems were new, unproven in real combat. But now, it was the only hope. "You want me to take it?" Daniel asked. "Yes. You'll lead the mission. Pick your crew. Go in quiet. Learn what you can. If you get a chance to strike, you take it." Daniel nodded slowly. He knew this might be a suicide mission, but he also knew if he didn't go, no one else would. 2 days later, Daniel stood on the launch deck of Orbital Station Nova. The Vanguard floated above the platform, sleek and black, like a shadow given shape. It was smaller than most warships, with no heavy armor or big guns, but it had something else: speed, stealth, and a new kind of AI that could think faster than any human. His crew arrived one by one. First was Eva Morales. She was young, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and a smirk that never seemed to leave her face. She had flown everything from cargo shuttles to fighter jets. She had been kicked out of flight school once for flying upside down through a storm cloud. She said it was fun. Her superiors disagreed. "You must be the guy who got stuck with me," she said, shaking his hand. "If I remember right, you asked for this mission." Of course. Who wouldn't want to fly a ghost ship into a swarm of aliens? Next came Eli Carter. He was older, mid-40s, with glasses and a tired look. He had spent most of his life in engine rooms, fixing things no one else understood. He wore a faded jacket with grease stains on the sleeves. "Hope you don't mind if I talk to the engines more than the crew," he said. "As long as they keep running, you can sing to them if you want." Noah Patel walked in quietly. He was the team's tactical analyst. He studied enemy movements, found patterns, and made plans. He had joined the military after his home colony was destroyed. He rarely smiled, but when he did, it felt like the sun breaking through clouds. "Thank you for choosing me," he said simply. Last was Lena Foster. She was a field medic and exobiologist. She had worked in hospitals on Mars and in refugee camps on Earth. She had seen what war did up close. "I'm here to save lives," she said. "But I've fired a gun before." "Good," Daniel said. "We may need that." They trained hard for 2 weeks. The Vanguard was unlike anything they had flown. Its controls were smooth, almost too smooth. Its sensors could see farther than any human eye. Its cloaking system made it invisible to radar, but it had limits. It could not fight a full battle. It could not carry many weapons. It could run, hide, and strike fast, but not stay and fight. Daniel drilled them until they knew every part of the ship. Ava learned how to maneuver in zero-G fields. Eli rewired the power grid so they could reroute energy faster. Noah mapped possible attack routes. Lena stocked the medbay with everything she thought they might need. Then came the day of launch. The world watched. News stations across Earth showed the Vanguard lifting off. Billions of people saw the small ship rise into the stars, wondering if it would return. Some called it a last stand. Others called it a waste. Daniel stood on the bridge, watching the planet shrink behind them. "Are you scared?" Ava asked. "Yes," he said. "But fear doesn't stop the mission." They jumped into hyperspace. The first leg of the journey was long. They traveled through empty space, past dead moons and forgotten satellites. They saw no signs of life, until the message came. A signal, weak and broken, reached them from the edge of the frontier. It was from a scout ship, the USS Sentinel. It had gone missing weeks ago. The message played over the comms. "Enemy fleet sighted. Moving fast. No response to hails. We're being hunted." Then static. Daniel looked at Noah. "Can you trace it?" "I'll try." Hours passed. Then Noah found the origin point. It was near a ruined planet called X9, a cold, lifeless rock orbiting a dying star. "That's where we're going," Daniel said. "Into the lion's den," Ava muttered. "If we want to know what we're facing, yes." They set course. The Vanguard cut through space like a knife. The closer they got, the quieter everyone became. Even the ship seemed to hold its breath. When they arrived, there was nothing but silence. X9 loomed ahead, dark and cold. Debris floated in orbit, wrecked ships, shattered hulls, pieces of what used to be human vessels. "This is bad," Eli said. "Scan for survivors," Daniel ordered. Ava ran the scans. Nothing, just wreckage. Noah checked the data again. "The Sentinel sent that message from here, but there's no trace of it." "Could they have escaped?" Lena asked. "Maybe," Noah said. "Or maybe they were taken." "Or destroyed," Ava added. Daniel stared at the screen. "We need to know what happened." They flew deeper into the debris field. The Vanguard sensors picked up faint readings. Something was still active down there. "There," Noah pointed. "A damaged escape pod." They landed nearby. Daniel led the team outside, wearing suits with lights on the helmets. The surface of X9 was frozen, cracked, and silent. They reached the pod. Inside was a single survivor. He was burned, bleeding, barely alive. His uniform was torn. His name tag read, "Lit Greg Terry." Lena knelt beside him. "He's alive, just." They carried him back to the Vanguard. Inside the med bay, she worked, fast. After giving him oxygen and painkillers, she stepped back. "He'll live," she said. "For now." Daniel leaned close. "What happened?" The man coughed. His voice was weak. "They came, without warning, ships like nothing we've seen. They don't talk, they just kill. Where's the Sentinel? Gone. All of us gone. Did you see their ships? What do they look like?" The man's eyes fluttered. "Like monsters, made of shadows." Then he passed out. Daniel stood up. The room was silent. "So," Ava said, "we're flying into a fight with monsters made of shadows." "Looks like," Daniel replied. "Well," Eli said, "at least it won't be boring." They returned to the bridge. The Vanguard turned away from X9, heading deeper into enemy space. One ship, 5 people, and a mission that could decide the fate of humanity. The Vanguard moved quietly through space like a shadow in the dark. Its engines were off, running on minimal power to avoid being seen. They had left X9 behind and were now flying deeper into enemy territory. Daniel stood on the bridge, watching the screen. It showed a large red cluster, hundreds of blinking lights moving together. The alien fleet was close. "We're inside their outer perimeter," Ava said, her voice low. "If we go any further, we might not get out." "We knew that going in," Daniel replied. He looked at Noah, who sat at his station, eyes scanning data. "Anything new?" "They're moving fast," Noah said. "Not just toward Earth, they're spreading out like they're trying to cover more ground." "Could be looking for us," Eli muttered from the engineering deck. "Maybe," Daniel said. "Or maybe they know we're here." Ava shifted in her seat. That's not a comforting thought. They had been flying blind for hours. avoiding known patrol routes and staying in the cold zones between enemy ships. The Vanguard's cloaking system kept them hidden, but it wasn't perfect. Every second brought risk. "We need to find something," Lena said. She had been listening from the back. "Something useful, intel, tech, anything. If we don't come back with something real, all this is for nothing." "She's right," Noah said. "We've got debris, we've got a dying man's warning, but nothing solid. We need proof." Daniel nodded. "Then we find it." He turned to Ava. "Take us in closer. We scan everything. I want to know what they're carrying, how they move, and if there's a weak spot." "You want to play hide-and-seek with 100 warships?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Only if you think you can do it?" She smirked. "Just hold." The Vanguard dipped lower, weaving between floating wreckage and dead satellites. They passed the remains of another human ship, its hull torn open like paper. Pieces of it floated silently in the void. "This one's older," Noah said, checking the registry. "It went missing 6 months ago." "They've been coming for a long time," Daniel said quietly. They flew past a patrol group of alien fighters. The Vanguard stayed hidden, its systems working hard to keep them invisible. "This is insane," Eli whispered. "We are literally flying through a battlefield. And we're not even fighting," Ava added. "Not yet," Daniel said. They reached the edge of a larger formation, a massive alien carrier surrounded by smaller ships. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its shape was jagged, like broken glass fused together. Black and lifeless, it seemed to swallow light. "That thing is huge," Lena said. "Bigger than any of our carriers," Noah agreed. "And it's leading the fleet." "Then we take a closer look," Daniel said. Ava guided the Vanguard around the carrier, keeping distance but getting as much data as possible. Noah recorded everything. Sensors picked up strange energy readings. Unknown. Materials and patterns in how the ships moved. "They're organized," Noah said. "But not like we are. They don't have a single command. There are different groups, almost like rival factions." "Rival factions?" Daniel asked. "Yes. Some ships respond to different signals. Some move faster. Others stay back like they don't trust each other." "So they're not unified," Ava said. "Not completely," Noah confirmed. "That could help us," Daniel said. "If they're not all working together, then we might have a chance." They continued scanning, collecting data, when suddenly the Vanguard shuddered. "What was that?" Lena asked. Eli checked the systems. "Something hit us. Not weapons. Fire. Maybe a sensor sweep." "Did they see us?" Daniel asked. "Not sure," Ava said. "But if they did, they'll start looking. Then we leave," Daniel said. "Now." Ava pushed the throttle forward. The Vanguard shot away from the carrier, diving into the dark. They flew through a field of floating debris, dodging chunks of metal and frozen bodies. "They're scanning again," Noah warned. "Can we outrun them?" Lena asked. "Depends," Ava said. "How good are these guys at finding ghosts?" The Vanguard dropped into a narrow gap between two enemy destroyers. The space was tight, too small for most ships. But Ava was good. She wove through with inches to spare. "They're locking onto us," Noah said. "They know something's here." "Time to go loud?" Eli asked. "No," Daniel said. "We stick to the plan. Stay hidden. Don't give them a reason to shoot." But then, the unthinkable happened. A sudden burst of energy lit up the space ahead. An alien fighter had fired, not directly at them but close enough to knock them off course. "Damn it," Ava shouted. "They saw us." Alarms blared across the Vanguard. The ship spun slightly before she corrected it. "Cloaking is unstable," Eli said. "They must have damaged something." "Then we run," Daniel ordered. Ava pulled the ship into a steep dive, heading toward a nearby moon. It was covered in ice and rock with deep craters and sharp cliffs. "We can lose them in the terrain," she said. "Do it." The Vanguard dove fast, skimming the surface. Enemy fighters followed, shooting bursts of plasma that scorched the ground behind them. "They're persistent," Noah muttered. "They don't want us getting away," Daniel said. Ava banked hard, flying through a narrow canyon. The wall scraped the sides of the ship, sparks flying from the outer panels. "We're not going to make it through this unscathed," Eli said. We just need to survive, Daniel said. The Vanguard came out the other side and shot straight. Up, breaking atmosphere. They're still coming, Noah said. Then we fight, Daniel said. Finally, Ava muttered. Eli rerouted power to the weapons. The Vanguard had limited firepower, but it had speed and surprise. Target there. Lead fighter, Daniel said. Ava lined up the shot. The targeting system locked on. A single pulse cannon fired. The enemy fighter exploded in a flash of white. Got him, she said. 2 more incoming, Noah warned. Hit them fast, Daniel said. The Vanguard twisted and turned, firing quick bursts. One fighter veered off course and crashed into a cliff. The other tried to retreat, but a final shot took it down. Silence returned. The Vanguard hovered above the icy moon, smoke rising from its panels. We're hit, Eli said. Engines are damaged. Shields are down to 30%. We're lucky to be alive, Lena said. Luck had nothing to do with it, Daniel said. Good flying, Ava. Thanks, she said, breathing heavily. But we need to fix this ship. We will, Daniel said. But first we send what we found. Noah opened the comms. He prepared to send the data back to Earth, but hesitated. What is it? Daniel asked. If we send this, they'll know we're still alive, but they'll also know where we are. They'll send help, Lena said. Or they'll send more enemies, Daniel said. He looked at the crew. They were tired, scared, but still ready. Send it, he said finally. Let Earth know what we found. Noah pressed the button. The message left the Vanguard, traveling across space toward home. Back on Earth, someone would receive it. Someone would understand. And somewhere far away, the alien fleet changed course. Toward the Vanguard. The Vanguard drifted silently through space. Its lights dimmed, engines barely running. The last battle had left it damaged. Smoke still curled from one of the side panels, and the hull bore fresh scars from enemy fire. Inside, the crew worked fast to keep the ship alive. Daniel sat at the command console, eyes scanning the dark. They had sent their message back to Earth, but now they were exposed. The alien fleet knew where they were, and worse, they were coming. Ava leaned over her controls, checking the ship's systems. We're lucky we made it out of that moon, she said. But we can't take another fight like that. We won't, Daniel said. Not unless we have to. Noah sat nearby, going through the data they had collected. He was quiet for a long time before he finally spoke. I've been looking at the enemy comms again, he said. There's something strange. Strange how? Eli asked, walking in from the engine room. They're not all speaking the same language, Noah said. Or maybe they are, but some are sending different orders. Some ships break off when others push forward. Some ignore direct commands. You think they're fighting each other? Lena asked. Maybe, Noah said. Or maybe they don't fully trust each other. Daniel thought about that. If the aliens weren't unified, that changed everything. It meant they could be divided, weakened, beaten. Can you decode any of it? Daniel asked. Some, Noah said. But I need more time. Then you get it, Daniel said. We're not going anywhere for a while. Eli checked the damage report again. Engines are still down. Shields are holding, barely. Weapons are functional, but power is low. We're flying on hope right now. Then we fix what we can, Daniel said. And we hide until we're ready to move again. The Vanguard slipped behind a field of floating debris, remains of old ships, broken satellites, and pieces of a colony station that had once orbited a dead planet. Here, they were invisible. The wreckage masked their heat signature, and the silence of the graveyard kept them hidden. For hours, they stayed still. Then a signal came through. It was weak, broken by static, but recognizable. It was from Earth. This is Nova Control. The voice crackled. We received your transmission. Repeat, we received your transmission. We are analyzing your findings. Hold position. Do not engage unless necessary. Repeat, hold position. Daniel let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. They got it, Ava whispered. And they're listening, Noah added. Now we wait, Daniel said. But waiting wasn't easy. Hours passed. Then days. The crew took turns resting, watching the sensors, fixing what they could. Eli worked non-stop in the engine room, patching wires, rerouting power, and trying to get the engines back online. Ava helped where she could, though most of her time was spent planning escape routes in case they had to run again. Lena checked on the survivor they had rescued from X9. Lieutenant Greg Terry was still unconscious, but his vitals were stable. She cleaned his wounds, gave him fluids, and watched as he slowly fought his way back from the edge. Noah kept working on the alien signals. He mapped patterns, compared transmissions, and slowly began to see something beneath the noise. "I think I found it," he said one day, voice full of excitement. Daniel walked over. "Found what?" "A weakness," Noah said. "The main carrier, the big one we saw, it's broadcasting orders, but not everyone is following them. Some ships are ignoring it. Others are responding to different signals." "So the fleet isn't one army," Daniel said. "No," Noah said. "It's several, and they're not all working together." Daniel stared at the screen. "If we can send this back to Earth, they might be able to use it," Noah said. "But there's more." He tapped a few keys. A new set of data appeared. "This signal, it's being sent from somewhere else, not the carrier. Somewhere deeper in enemy space." "What does it say?" Ava asked. "That's the thing," Noah said. "It's not a battle order, it's a warning." "A warning about what?" Lena asked. "About us." Silence filled the bridge. "They know we're here," Daniel said, "and they're afraid of what we might do." "So what do we do?" Ava asked. Daniel looked around at his crew. They were tired, scared, but still standing, still fighting. "We send everything back to Earth," he said, "and then we make them even more afraid." Elijah frowned. "How?" "We strike," Daniel said. "Not a full attack, just enough to prove we can hurt them, to show the other factions that this fleet isn't unstoppable." "You want to hit the carrier again?" Ava asked. "Yes," Daniel said, "but we need a plan." Noah nodded. "I can find a way in. If we can get close enough, we can plant a charge. Something small but powerful enough to cripple their systems. And get out before the whole fleet comes down on us," Eli muttered. "Right," Daniel said. Ava smiled slightly. "Sounds like fun." "Fun?" Lena asked. "Well, exciting," Ava corrected. Daniel stood up straight. "Then we do it. We refuel, rest, and prepare. Tomorrow we go hunting." They worked through the night. Noah prepared the data burst to send back to Earth. It contained everything they had learned. The enemy's fractured command structure, the location of the carrier, and the weak points they had found. When the message was ready, he pressed send. Back on Earth, someone would receive it. Someone would understand. And somewhere far away, the alien fleet shifted course again, toward the Vanguard. Its engines hummed softly as power flowed back through the ship. The crew had worked non-stop since their last message to Earth. Every scratch, every broken wire, every damaged system had been fixed or patched well enough to keep them flying. Daniel stood on the bridge looking at the screen. The alien carrier loomed ahead, surrounded by smaller ships like wolves circling prey. It was dark and jagged, its surface covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly in the void. "We're in range," Ava said, her fingers resting lightly on the controls. "If we go any closer, they'll see us." "Then we don't give them time to react," Daniel replied. Noah sat nearby, double-checking the plan. "We hit fast," he said. "Plant the charge, get out before they realize what happened." "And if something goes wrong?" Lena asked. "Then we improvise," Eli said from behind his console. Again, like always. They had one shot at this. The Vanguard wasn't built for war, but it was fast, quiet, and smart. Its cloaking system would keep them hidden long enough to slip inside the enemy's defenses. Ava guided the ship carefully through the debris field surrounding the carrier. Bits of old ships and frozen bodies floated past like ghosts in the dark. "This place is a graveyard," Lena whispered. "Soon might be ours," Ava muttered. "Stay focused," Daniel said. "We're here to do a job." Noah pointed to a section of the carrier's hull. "There. That maintenance hatch leads directly into their command core. If we plant the charge there, It should knock out their comms and navigation. Perfect, Daniel said. We drop in, plant the charge, and leave before anyone notices. Easy, right? Eli asked. Not even close, Daniel said. But we do it anyway. Ava brought the Vanguard in slow and steady. The cloaking system flickered slightly, but held. They hovered just outside the hatch. Deploying now, Daniel said. He, Noah, and Lena suited up quickly. They moved through the airlock and onto the carrier's outer hull. The cold bit through their suits, but they pressed forward. Using magnetic boots, they walked along the metal surface toward the hatch. The windless silence of space made every sound feel louder than it was. The only noise was their breathing and the occasional crackle over comms. Opening the hatch now, Noah said. He pulled a small tool from his belt and inserted it into the control panel. After a few seconds, the hatch groaned open. They slipped inside. Inside, the carrier was dimly lit. The walls were lined with strange symbols that pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. The air was thick and cold. This place gives me the creeps, Lena said quietly. Just keep moving, Daniel said. They followed Noah's map through narrow corridors and empty rooms. There were no guards. Either the aliens didn't expect an attack or they were too confident to care. They reached the command core. It was a large room filled with glowing panels and floating displays. Wires ran across the floor like veins. The heart of the ship beat here. This is the spot, Noah said. Daniel placed the charge carefully against the main console. It was small but powerful, enough to cripple the carrier systems without destroying the entire ship. Set and ready, he said. Good, Noah said. Now let's get out of here. They turned and started back the way they came, but then the lights changed. They flickered once, then stayed on, bright and harsh. Uh-oh, Lena said. A low hum filled the air. The ship had detected them. Move, Daniel shouted. They ran down the corridor, footsteps echoing off the metal walls. Behind them, doors began to slam shut, sealing off parts of the ship. They know we're here, Noah panted. We need to go loud, Daniel said into the comms. Ava, get ready. Already waiting, she replied. As they neared the exit, a group of alien soldiers appeared at the end of the hallway. Tall, thin, with black eyes and sharp armor, they raised their weapons. Down, Lena yelled. Daniel fired first. The blast hit one of the aliens square in the chest, sending it sprawling. Noah and Lena followed, covering each other as they backed toward the hatch. More aliens poured in from side passages, cutting off escape routes. We're boxed in, Noah shouted. Not yet, Daniel said. Ava, now. Outside, the Vanguard dropped from stealth. Its pulse cannon fired, hitting the outer hull near the hatch. The explosion blew the door open, sucking out loose debris and some of the aliens. Go, go, Daniel yelled. They jumped through the opening, just as another wave of enemies rounded the corner. Ava was already waiting. The Vanguard's ramp opened just enough for them to climb in. Get us out of here, Daniel shouted. Ava pulled back on the controls. The ship lifted fast, dodging return fire from the carrier. We're clear, she said. Detonate the charge, Noah said. Daniel pressed the trigger. Behind them, the carrier's core exploded. In a flash of light, the blast rippled through the ship, shorting out systems and plunging parts of it into darkness. Yes, Noah shouted. Did we cripple them? Lena asked. We sure scared them, Ava said. The Vanguard shot away from the battlefield, diving into the safety of deep space. Inside, the crew caught their breath. That was insane, Eli said. But it worked. Barely, Daniel said. Still counts, Ava said with a grin. They watched as the alien fleet reacted. Confusion spread. Some ships tried to help the carrier, others broke formation. Look at that, Noah said. They're not unified anymore. They're falling apart, Lena added. Good, Daniel said. Now we send everything back to Earth. Noah prepared the final data burst. It included footage of the explosion, intercepted communications, and proof that the alien fleet was fracturing. When it was done, he sent it. Back on Earth, someone would receive it. Someone would understand. And somewhere far away, The alien fleet shifted course again, toward the Vanguard. The Vanguard was damaged again. Its hull groaned from the strain of battle, its systems flickering like a dying light. Smoke curled through the engine room and sparks danced from broken panels. Outside, the alien fleet closed in. Daniel sat on the bridge, watching the enemy ships form a tight circle around them. They had no escape routes left. No more tricks. No more time. "We did all we could," Ava said quietly, her hands still on the controls. "But they're not letting us go." Noah stared at the screen. "They've changed formation. They're not just hunting us now. They're trying to trap us." "Then we make sure it's worth it," Daniel said. He looked at his crew. They were tired, hurt, but still standing. Eli wiped sweat from his face. "Engines are barely holding. Shields are gone. Weapons are down to their last few shots. Then we use every last bit," Daniel said. Lentz, who had been working near the back, turned toward him. "What do you want to do?" "We fight," Daniel said simply. "One last time." Ava smirked. "I was hoping you'd say that." She pushed the throttle forward. The Vanguard shot out of the wreckage field and straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. "What are we doing?" Noah shouted. "Buying time," Daniel said. "If we can keep them busy, Earth might have a chance." The ship dove between two destroyers, dodging bursts of energy fire. The aliens opened up, sending waves of plasma and missiles after them. "This is insane," Eli yelled. "Insane works," Ava said, weaving through the battlefield like a ghost. The Vanguard fired what little power it had left. Pulse cannons flashed, hitting small fighters and knocking them out of formation. The crew worked fast, calling targets, firing blind shots, and praying for every hit. "We're losing altitude," Ava shouted. "Then hold steady," Daniel said. The ship dropped low, skimming the surface of a nearby moon. The aliens followed, diving after them like hawks chasing prey. "They won't stop," Lena said. "Not until we're dead." "Then we make sure they remember us," Daniel said. Noah checked the data one last time. "Earth received our message. They're responding." "Good," Daniel said. "That's all we needed." The Vanguard climbed again, heading straight for the largest alien carrier, the same one they had crippled earlier. It had recovered enough to rejoin the fight, but it still limped through space like a wounded beast. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" Ava asked. "Yes," Daniel said. "Take us in." Ava pulled the ship into a steep dive, aiming directly at the carrier's core. The aliens tried to stop them, but the Vanguard was too fast, too unpredictable. "They're locking onto us," Noah warned. "Doesn't matter," Daniel said. "We're not turning back." The ship broke through the outer hull, flying deep into the carrier's structure. Alarms blared, lights flickered. The crew braced themselves. "We only get one shot at this," Eli said. "Then make it count," Daniel said. He looked at Noah. "Plant the last charge." Noah nodded and moved fast, placing the explosive right where the Vanguard's first blast had hit. If they detonated here, the entire ship would collapse inward. "Done," Noah said. "Then let's go," Daniel ordered. Ava turned the ship hard, pulling them back through the hole they had made. The aliens fired everything they had, trying to stop them. One blast hit the Vanguard's wing. The ship spun wildly, tumbling through space. "I've got it," Ava shouted, fighting the controls. With one last push, she stabilized the ship and shot them free of the carrier. "Now!" Daniel shouted. Noah pressed the trigger. Behind them, the carrier exploded in a massive wave of fire and light. The shockwave tore through the surrounding fleet, knocking ships out of formation, breaking chains of command. Some alien vessels tried to flee. Others turned on each other, blaming rival factions for the loss. The Vanguard floated in the distance, battered and barely alive. But the battle was over. "We did it," Lena whispered. "We gave Earth a chance," Daniel said. Noah opened the comms. "Earth, this is Vanguard. Mission complete. Repeat, mission complete." For a long moment, there was silence. Then came a voice, clear and strong. "Copy that, Vanguard. We saw everything. Thank you." Daniel leaned back in his seat. The weight of everything they had done settled on his shoulders. They had flown, into the dark alone, and they had come out the other side. Back on Earth, the world watched as the alien threat collapsed. Without a unified command, the remaining fleet fell apart. Some ships retreated. Others fought among themselves. Earth's defenses, now prepared, held strong. The war wasn't completely over, but the tide had turned, thanks to one ship and 5 brave souls. Weeks later, the Vanguard limped back into orbit. It was a wreck, barely holding together. But it had survived. As they landed, thousands gathered to see the heroes return. Daniel stepped off the ramp first, followed by Ava, Noah, Eli, and Lena. They were tired, bruised, and burned, but alive. Reporters shouted questions. Soldiers saluted. Children pointed and whispered. They had become legends, but none of them wanted fame. Daniel refused promotions and political offers. He trained new officers instead. Ava became the youngest commander in history of the new Vanguard-class ships. Noah was honored posthumously. During the final battle, he had stayed behind to ensure the charge was set properly. His sacrifice saved millions. Eli returned to engineering, helping build better ships for the future. Lena went back to medicine, determined to heal the wounds. Of war, years passed. Peace came slowly, but the story of the Vanguard remained. In schools, in books, in quiet places where people remembered the day when Earth sent a single ship into a fleet battle, and that was all it took. Somewhere in space, floating among the stars, a small plaque drifted beside the wreckage of the great battle. It read,